In the past few episodes, we have explored Nintendo's amateur flight sim series. We've studied the original Pilotwings' casual yet deep structure, delved into the history of Pilotwings 64, and even stopped at Wii Sports Resort's Island Flyover. Now we have reached the third game in the Pilotwings series, Pilotwings Resort for the Nintendo 3DS. Like the other games in the series, Pilotwings Resort was a launch title. Looking at the launch lineup for the 3DS, there weren't a whole lot of big hitters here. Rather than launching alongside a Mario game like in the past, Pilotwings Resort was actually the most exciting Nintendo first-party offering, which is saying something. Of the mainline Pilotwings games, Resort is the only one that came out in my time, which means I have real nostalgia for this one. It's one of my most played Nintendo 3DS games, and was popular among my friends at the time. I have fond memories of playing this as a kid. Did Pilotwings Resort take the series to new heights, or did it end it with a rough landing? Who is Pilotwings positioned for? What is the legacy of the Pilotwings series? All this and more in today's episode. Given the Resort subtitle, Pilotwings Resort takes a lot of inspiration from Wii Sports Resort. Not only does it take place on the vacation theme park of Woohoo Island, but the entire Island Flyover minigame is playable portably. If you're new to the series, Island Flyover was a minigame in Wii Sports Resort, where you could explore an island via airplane and collect eye points. What made it special is that it provided a sense of cohesiveness to the game, since you can see where every minigame takes place. However, if you've played Island Flyover, you'll find nothing new here. Actually, you'll find less here. There are no Miis, no random planes and cars, no sound effect details like in the original Island Flyover, which is kind of disappointing. If this is your first time exploring the island, there's still plenty to do and play around with. But returning resort goers may find this mode a bit shallow. Free flight mode is a bit lackluster, but mission flight mode is where stuff gets really interesting. If you've been following my Pilotwings series, you know the drill by now. Like the other games, Pilotwings Resort is an amateur flight simulator that sees players flying a variety of aircraft through increasingly complex obstacle courses. Your score at the end of each level is determined by a list of criteria like number of rings flown through, completion time, fuel left over, and landing accuracy and impact. Levels are grouped by flight class, where you can complete them in any order you want. Reaching the finish line is good enough to move on to the next flight class, but getting a higher score, or 3 stars in each one, unlocks the diamond levels, which you could call the Dark Souls of the Pilotwings series. Controls and physics for the hang glider and rocket belt are the same as ever. Flying an unpowered hang glider requires players to manage their glide speed until they can reach a thermal to boost their altitude, and the rocket belt excels at maneuvering in tight spaces, but has limited fuel. Switching over to the airplane, it's apparent that the controls take the most inspiration from Wii Sports Resort. Just like in Island Flyover, you can do loops, fly upside down, shoot lasers, and boost, all of which are new to the Pilotwings series. They basically copied and pasted the controls from Island Flyover, minus the motion controls. Going back to Pilotwings for the Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo, the airplane feels stiff and limited in comparison. Here you can fly vertically, turn on a dime, and do barrel rolls. Additionally, each aircraft type has an alternative version. Ever think that the airplane was a bit too slow? The jet is the plane for you. Same for the rocket belt. Then there's the pedal glider, which mixes things up with a stamina mechanic similar to that of Wii Sports Resort bicycling. Looking back at it, Pilotwings was the perfect fit for the Nintendo 3DS. The isolated levels are great for short sessions when you're gaming on the go. The circle pad perfectly captures the advantage of analog control. The 3D effect, while maybe too intense at full blast, provides much needed depth perception while lining up approaches. And what better way to show off the enhanced graphics of the 3DS than large environments, not to mention wonderfully detailed aircraft. Just look at those models. The graphics aren't everything. How's the gameplay? I'm happy to say that the level design in Resort is the best in the series. Each level is designed with vehicle type in mind. In previous games, I would sometimes struggle to reach tightly spaced rings, which led to a few moments of frustration. But here, the turning radius of the aircraft is taken into account a lot better. In addition to better spaced rings, there are also these tiny balloons, which at first glance seem inconsequential, but actually help the player properly make wide turns so that they don't have to compensate with a sharp turn on the next ring. The typical obstacle courses are mixed up a bit, with speed barriers that require a certain amount of speed to break through, small collectible points that will move in all sorts of directions, and spikes that keep you on your toes. The Pilotwings series has always had excellent objective-based levels too, and Pilotwings Resort is no exception. If it's not apparent already, Resort has variety to spare, but probably the biggest omission is the bonus levels. However, I'm willing to partially forgive this, since one mission is a flying squirrel suit, and oh, it is just glorious. Before you ask, yes, you can land in the pool. So the gameplay is looking pretty good, but how about the vibe? Wii Sports Resort evokes the feeling of being active and going on adventures while catching rays of sunshine. Pilotwings Resort, on the other hand, is low-key. Instead of rushing to swordplay duels and ping-pong matches, you're just trying to get your pilot's license. The music certainly cements this vibe, with supremely catchy tunes for each vehicle and remixes for alternate vehicles. The melodies are very soothing, and the instrument choices really complement their corresponding vehicles. Pilotwings Resort is one of those games where I can just turn my brain off. Did I mention this one can be mega relaxing? Well, it is. When I'm soaring in the hang glider during a beautiful sunset and the chill music kicks in, my worries dissolve and I'm transported to a simpler place where riding the thermals is my only concern. Pilotwings is a casual game series, but not casual in the sense that it is shallow or childish. Casual in the sense that you can truly play at your own pace. It's the kind of game that you can pick up whenever you feel like, because sessions are short and there is no rush to complete everything. Sure, there are complexities to master and extra challenge levels near the end, but Pilotwings never asks too much of the player. It's honestly a good palate cleanser when every other game is trying to be the most jaw-dropping, intense, and demanding game possible. Pilotwings is simple and laid back. In my opinion, few traditional games these days embrace the low-key approach. Keyword traditional here. Sure, you've got games like Animal Crossing, which are nice and easygoing, but those games require the player to make their own fun, which can be exhausting after a while. It has the accessibility of Wii Sports, but doesn't need to revolutionize the industry with motion controls that anyone with hands can use. Pilotwings is still casual, mind you, but it is also traditional in the sense that it's a single-player game stripped down to the bare gameplay, polish, and charm that we have come to expect from Nintendo. It was apparent then, but now I am certain that Pilotwings is in a category of its own. With Pilotwings, you can put your feet up and play levels back to back, and when you're done, you're done. That's the balance that Pilotwings achieves. It's not so dumbed down that it comes across as patronizing, but not so complex that it warrants more action. Pilotwings took the traditional video game formula and made it accessible to anyone. With this easygoing design philosophy in mind, almost every past Nintendo console has had some kind of game made for the casual audience. The NES had simple sports games like golf and baseball. The Wii had Wii Sports. The Wii U had Nintendo Land, and the Nintendo Switch had 1-2 Switch. What did the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and 3DS have to offer for the casuals? That's right, Pilotwings. It was sad for me to see the Wii U and Switch launch without a Pilotwings game at their side. Sure, Nintendo Land and 1-2 Switch were great for multiplayer experiences, but what about the casual single-player experience? Don't get me wrong, I love Nintendo Land and 1-2 Switch is, well, 1-2 Switch, but something was lost when Nintendo switched their casual launch titles to family multiplayer. I mean, I get it. The Wii and Wii U were built around reaching out to non-gamers, and there's no better way to do that than classic couch multiplayer games. But I miss being able to have a game at launch that's a good breather from the wildly popular Nintendo big hitters. Nowadays, Nintendo will put out launch titles that appeal to casual gamers. But back in 1990, Nintendo created the Pilotwings series to appeal to gamers looking for a casual experience. I remain hopeful that we will see Nintendo return to the series. You would think from the patterns that we've been seeing that there's a time and place for Pilotwings. Does this mean we'll have to wait until the start of the next console generation for a new installment? Maybe we'll see Pilotwings return on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, you already have the Labo cardboard flight stick. What's holding it back? I would personally love to see the series return as an HD remaster of Pilotwings 64. Yes, it has been too far since a true Pilotwings game has come out, but boy did it leave on a good note. Of course, I'm talking about the Pilotwings stage in Super Smash Brothers. Now, this is how you honor the legacy of the series. The stage starts out on a classic Pilotwings map, but with a fully realized 3D rendition of the original light plane. Then it transitions into modern Pilotwings with the iconic resort plane in Woohoo Island setting. The remixes. Oh, the remixes. These tunes are some real bangers. We've got a vocal mix of the original plane theme and a pumped up jazz rendition too. If you're a certain Robin or Lucas player, you know this is my favorite stage because I pick it every time. It's honestly everything a Pilotwings fan could ask for. The future of the series may be foggy, but the legacy of Pilotwings, Pilotwings 64, and Pilotwings Resort will live on as the series whose greatest strength was its simplicity. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.